Call to order the meeting of the Common Council for Tuesday, May 2nd, 2023. Clerk?
We have 12 members present in the room and 12 members in civic clerk and voting.
Thank you, Clerk. Please now rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for an invocation offered by Alder Weary.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alder Weary.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Dear Lord, infuse our human hearts and minds with temperance and kindness for each other. Let us not forget that we all struggle, stumble, and fall, and look to you and each other for help in continuing each of our journeys. I request extra protection for Mayor Genrich, our city staff, and the city council. Provide us the wisdom to make fair decisions and the genuine humility to work together and support the people who have entrusted us with that task. Amen.
Thank you, Alder. On to approval of the minutes.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve offered by Alder Scannell, seconded by Alder Campbell. Any revisions here? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, the minutes are approved. Approval of the agenda. Motion to approve made by Alder Eck, seconded by Alder Scannell. Any amendments? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the agenda is approved. Report by the mayor. Real quick, just a little announcement. Alder Scannell, Alder Johnson, a few other folks were down on Broadway earlier today to sort of reopen the cannery, which has been closed for a couple years now, maybe even a little bit longer. So nice to be over there to announce, Alder Scannell's got the shirt on. It's the Cannery Test Kitchen. It's sort of a restaurant incubator. There are going to be a handful of anchors, and so an incubator and then an accelerator program to sort of mentor these businesses and other restaurant and hospitality industry businesses within the community. So exciting news. I think June timeframe, they're going to be actually opening the doors, cutting their ribbons, so I encourage everybody to stay tuned for that. And then just one note with regard to our agenda tonight. I know we have a salary study item that'll probably get some discussion later on in the evening. My hope is that this really is close to kind of a consensus item. I know people have feelings about the funding source and other things, but if it needs to go back to committee for more discussion, I think we've got a little bit of time to deal with it. But we've had a lot of 6-6 votes during my tenure, and would prefer that this one in particular is not one of those, right? I think everybody wants our staff to be appropriately compensated and kept safe, and so we'll just hope that we can have a good discussion on that. And if we can't come to more of a consensus, I would just recommend kind of holding off on it a little bit. But just my thoughts, obviously. With that, we'll move along to announcements. Alder Stoyer, Alder Scannell.
Thank you, Your Honor. I was privileged to be part of a tree planting ceremony last week with the mayor and Alder Scannell and other city staff. We planted some trees at Mather Heights Park, and turned out to be a very nice day and good stuff. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy belated Arbor Day to everyone.
That's right.
Alder Scannell.
Just like to piggyback on what you said with the test kitchen, hoping to open in June, and so anybody looking for a culinary delight for their taste buds, you're going to have plenty of options to choose from, a number of restaurants in one location, so head over there in June.
Absolutely. Alder Eck.
Okay, I just wanted to remind everybody that Thursday is National Day of Prayer. There's several different activities going on. There's a luncheon at Riverside Ballroom at 11:30, and then Heritage Hill, you can go there to the chapel throughout the day for prayer. And then, actually, I was invited to speak at Visible Church from 6 to 7:30. There's different speakers covering the different 7 mountains. That's what they're called.
Very good.
They're like different themes.
Got it. Thanks for the announcement. Alder Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. Just turning everyone's attention for a brief moment to things going on at the state level. And of course, the state is taking up the budget right now, which impacts what we do at the local level, specifically shared revenue. And as you may recall at the last meeting, we did pass a resolution declaring our support for a change in the shared revenue model. And as you guys know, the way this process works, the governor made his proposal, the legislature now makes their proposal. So I encourage all of you to read up on that and understand what that means to the city of Green Bay, in particular how it affects our budget and our ability to use those shared revenue dollars locally to solve some of our needs and challenges. I would anticipate there's going to be a lot of conversation around that in the next couple of weeks. So please, again, take a look at that and understand how that's going to affect us, and reach out to your state legislators to voice your opinions. Thank you, Mayor.
Well said. Thanks, Alder. Any other announcements? All right, seeing none, we'll move along to appointments. Just got the one reappointment. Alder Scannell makes a motion to approve that reappointment. Seconded by Alder Hutchison. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and that reappointment is made. Now, under public hearings, this is miscellaneous ordinance number 05-23, an ordinance adopting an amendment to the Smart Growth 2022 Comprehensive Plan of the City of Green Bay pertaining to property located at 2850 Humboldt Road. Is there anyone here who'd like to speak to that item? Anyone here who'd like to speak to that item? Is there anyone here who would like to speak to that item? Clerk, let the record reflect no one is here to speak to that item. Now on to ordinance's second reading for adoption.
To suspend the rules.
All right, Alder Scannell makes a motion to suspend the rules and take up these items with one roll call vote, seconded by Alder Johnson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, the rules are suspended.
Motion to adopt.
Alder Scannell makes a motion to adopt. That was seconded by Alder Weary. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll use the board.
You may vote.
How would you like to be recorded?
Aye.
And those are adopted 12-0. On to the report of the Improvement and Services Committee.
To approve.
Motion to approve made by Alder Scannell,
Second.
seconded by Alder Eck. Items here to be handled separately? None. All in favor of approving that report, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The report has been approved. On to Protection and Policy Committee.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve made by Alder Scannell, seconded by Alder Stevens. Items here to be handled separately? 18. Any others? Hearing none others, all in favor of approving the remainder of that report, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The report has been approved with the exception of item 18. Your wishes?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve made by Alder Scannell, seconded by Alder Stoyer. Item was pulled by Alder Grant. You have the floor.
We have heard from our community that crime is a concern of theirs. Alder Eck and I started looking into what some of the key issues are. During a conversation with law enforcement, a Schwabenance Hotel Registry ordinance was brought up as being helpful. I don't want to speak on behalf of our police department. I will let them elaborate. But as it stands right now, it is up to the individual hotel if they want to require any form of identification or retain it. It is possible that our police department could obtain a warrant, but this information would not be available. Our hotels have no way of knowing if a guest is a registered sex offender, for example, and we have hotels that attract children due to their amenities. One point of clarification I do want to point out is the ordinance does not make any specific type of identification as a requirement to obtain lodging, but rather specifies that a hotel or other like entity must obtain identifying information about their guests. This can be derived from an ID, credit card, or other like medium. This is up to the hotel, etc. It just needs to be significant enough to verify the identity of the guest. But I do have a motion to amend the ordinance as draft as proposed in the most recent draft from staff, which includes the following changes. In paragraph A, at the phrase, "at the time of any transaction," to begin the first sentence. In paragraph B1, add the phrase, "any transaction to," after the word upon in the first sentence. And in paragraph B2, add the phrase at the time of any transaction to begin the first sentence.
That was an amendment offered by Alder Grant. It was seconded by Alder Johnson. Any more discussion from you, Alder?
Just, the reason we're pointing that out is to specify a monetary transaction. So this would not apply to any vouchers or anything with homeless shelter, stuff like that, or anybody who was uprooted due to an incident like fire or anything like that.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Alder. We also do have a member of the public who would like to speak on this item, so whenever.
Motion to open the floor to hear from interested parties.
Motion has been made to open the floor by Alder Johnson. It was seconded by Alder Stoyer. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Floor is open. And a reminder, just state your name and address for us, and you have 3 minutes.
Yeah, it's Natalie Hoffman, 1217 Chicago Street. Yeah, I did have a couple of concerns about that ordinance, just specifically about the type of ID, that it wasn't specified, that it needs to be like a photo ID, which Bill Galvin did clarify for me this afternoon, that it doesn't necessarily need to be a photo ID. It just needs your name, like a library card, a credit card, et cetera. And so I believe that this would need to be specified in the ordinance before it passed, so that there's no way to misinterpret what constitutes an acceptable form of ID, which would leave room for folks to be turned away from short-term lodging. And I also just wanted to address the issue of permanent addresses and see if you could clarify this for me, because even with an acceptable ID, the way that I read the ordinance, it sounded like someone without a permanent address would not be allowed to stay in a hotel. And like, I can appreciate that no evictions would actively be happening, but that would mean that people with bad credit, people who make enough to afford long-term fees at a hotel but not 3 times the rent, and just others who have fallen on hard times would no longer be able to stay in a hotel, which would consequently put them at risk of becoming homeless. And so I just wanted to bring that to your attention and ask for some clarification around the requiring a permanent address from folks. Knowing. Yeah, I was looking for some clarification on that. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Any questions for our guest? Seeing none? All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Motion to close the floor. Motion to close the floor made by Alder Johnson, seconded by Alder Scannell. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Maybe we could go to Attorney Bungert on those issues, if you could clarify it all.
Sure. So, as far as the requirement for inscribing your name and permanent address, that it doesn't go so far as making or preventing a hotel from accepting a guest based on lack of information. The purpose of these elements is for the hotel to be able to gather the necessary information that perhaps a law enforcement agency will need to be able to track down a guest or be able to identify a person that has stayed at the hotel or was a transacting guest at the hotel. So it's not operating as a barrier or a bar to staying at a hotel. It's just providing the parameters of what type of identifying information needs to be retained by the hotel for future possible use by law enforcement agency, either through volunteer practice or through obtaining the information through a lawful warrant.
Okay. Got it. Any comments from Alder Johnson?
Thank you, Mayor. So I want to thank Alder Grant for, not only bringing this forward, but being flexible in making those amendments. I know I had a resident in my district that had some really good questions that we were seeking clarity on, and I think that's maybe what at least contributed to the amendment, so I really do appreciate that. And I think it's important to acknowledge that what we're talking about here is not a burden placed on individuals, but the way that the hotels maintain their records. So this should really, in effect, change nothing with respect to how individuals can really just make a reservation or be able to stay at a hotel. So I would expect, very limited change there. This really, in essence, is just codifying, I think, the belief that not the belief, but what hotels are already doing, and then really kind of creating a path forward for how our law enforcement accesses that information, which is really only when absolutely necessary. And they'll ask the hotel if they want to give it up voluntarily, and if the hotel does not want to, well, then they would seek a warrant. And so it's not information that's being given to the police department on a rolling basis. And I think those were a couple of the main questions, that I'd seen posed about this, is what's happening with that data. It is staying with the hotels. And then secondarily, are we creating any barriers for individuals that might be homeless? And so by adding the amendment, it kind of really clears the air about all of that. So I think this is a good amendment and a good proposal.
Thanks, Alder. Alder Galvin?
Thank you, Your Honor. And I'm ditto with Alder Johnson. I just spent 6 days driving down to Tempe, Arizona and back again. Every hotel required some form of identification. I wasn't put out by it. I'm not worried about it. And I understand the hotel can willingly give that information up or demand that the police get a warrant. And I know that our department would be able to get one in short order if they had the probable cause. So again, this is just another good check and balance out there to make our community that much safer. Thank you.
Thanks, Alder. Any other comments? Seeing none, we have that amendment and a second for it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. That amendment is approved.
Motion to approve as amended.
Alder Scannell makes a motion to approve as amended. Seconded by Alder Eck. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and that item has been approved as amended. On to report of the Plan Commission. Motion to approve made by Alder Scannell, seconded by Alder Stevens. Any items to be handled separately? Number 5. Any others?
Mayor, if I could just be reflected on number 10 as an abstention.
Alder Johnson would like to be noted as abstaining on item 10. That will be noted. Any others to be held separately? Hearing none others, all in favor of approving the remainder of that report signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The report has been approved with the exception of item 5. Motion to approve made by Alder Scannell, seconded by Alder Stevens, and that item was pulled by Alder Campbell. You have the floor.
Yeah, I wasn't at the planning commission meeting here, or the other day, but constituent brought up a situation about some more information about it, and I would like to know if there's anybody here that could bring that forward.
There is, yeah.
The whole plan kind of moved through quite fast, from what I understand, and
Sure.
I'd like to catch up on it.
Okay, you want to open the floor?
I'd like to make a offer to open up the floor, make a motion.
Alder Campbell makes a motion to open the floor, seconded by Alder Eck. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The floor is open. Mr. Mackham, if you'd like to approach and state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes to make the case.
Yeah, Edward Matcom. My address is 200 North Main Street in Oregon, Wisconsin, with Gorman and Company. Back here again. Maybe some of you recognize me from the March 21st Common Council meeting where you didn't approve my project at a certain location, 216 Military Avenue. We were lucky enough to find a site that actually scored similar with convincing to WIDA, that it scored similar, and WIDA actually approved the site. And so now we're up a little bit against the deadline, because if I don't have a certificate of occupancy for my building as of 12/31/2024, I lose the credits. So now the delay has kind of put us a little bit in a pinch, but we're still in the green light here. And was asking your approval for really a similar type of site. It's a different site. It's got more green space on it for water detention. It's a harder site because it's at the bottom of a hill. So the water's coming running down at me, but we have got some bioretention areas there. We have the 60 spaces of parking that were required. And I think it looks better at this site. It's a better site in a lot of areas. And we really would love to have the affordable housing that we thought we'd have over here. So that's it in a nutshell. Alder Campbell, I don't know if you had any other specific questions regarding that.
No, I just wasn't aware of the product, comparing it to here. I mean, evidently things were changed here.
It's the exact same product, I guess, exact same building, exact same unit mix, exact same accessible units that we were gonna do. Everything's exactly the same of what I presented before, so apologize, I wasn't gonna repeat that for you, because I didn't want you to have a duplicate, but it is the exact same project.
So, I'm looking for the footage, so I drove by there today. Is this just the graded off lower part there,
Yeah, on the
below the
corner.
other development?
Yeah, it's on the corner.
Yeah.
There's a little shack that's a utility shack. The actual address of the utility shack, of which is AT&T, has fiber optic lines coming out of there, is 608 Rolfe. This is 2500 block of University, which is the university frontage. It's that corner, though, that you see
Yeah, I know
there.
where it is.
Yeah, and so it's really the same building being put up with a little different parking configuration, just because of the bioretention areas that we have to have for stormwater.
Being that it'd be a low-income housing unit amongst the several thousand other units that are down University Avenue and the recent development of the festival area and all the very good development that's brought jobs and grid structure to the district there. On University Avenue, you know, brings a lot there. I would just hope that, you know, the appearance of it be like, you know, fit in with the rest of it. And,
Do we have a rendering of that, Neil, do you know? I can't find one. I'll try to find one to send to Neil to show it to you.
Yeah.
You know, we went through the entire Military Avenue neighborhood meeting. We had a neighborhood meeting here, brought all the renderings. We also did it in Military, and no one really had a complaint about the structure or the rendering in terms of the way it looked and the materials we were gonna use. But it would be the exact same building, so I'll try to find a rendering to show you that you can have a couple of different angles.
I mean, at first I thought the parking would be out front, you know, because of many reasons. I guess I never thought of it being in the back, so I mean, that was one of my main concerns. And I don't want it to look like another car lot or place like that going on down there, you know. But I do like the setup here. I see you got two entrances. I mean, I did kind of find it kind of crazy that both your entrances are already repaired and new concrete in there today with literally barriers there, so someone must have been thinking ahead here.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I haven't bought it yet, so I haven't done anything on it.
Well, I just thought,
Yeah.
they could have fixed that, let's see, when I was 18 years old, when I worked at that gas station.
Oh, okay, right.
So anyway, I noticed you don't have any entrances off the other entrance that goes up to the other development on the top, you know?
No, we have entrance on University and entrance on Rolfe, and they kind of L shape into the parking.
Yeah, like I said, this is the first time I saw it. I mean, I don't really find too much wrong with the roof it there, and hopefully it fits in good, and I like the idea of the retention and whatnot. I just,
There'll be like a rainwater.
like to see it
garden.
fit into the rest of many, many years of projects that have been gone on down there.
Yeah,
All right, thank you.
but I will look for a rendering and send it so people can see it, okay?
Great. Any other questions for Mr. Mackham?
Thank you.
Seeing none. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Motion to close the floor made by Alder Eck, seconded by Alder Scannell. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The floor is closed. Alder Johnson, on the motion.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Mr. Mackham, I know city staff has obviously worked with you on this, and of course, last time we had this product in front of us, it was interesting because we talked about it and nobody complained about the product, right? There was sort of a situation there that was unable to be resolved, and so I just want to make it public, what I'm sure are private conversations that have been had with you. Thank you. I mean, thank you for choosing to invest in Green Bay. I know you've got another project proposal you're hopefully still kind of working on, but I want you to know that we appreciate your investment in the city. You're bringing a product that we need in our community. To me, this is a slam dunk project because we've got a site, a willing seller, a willing developer. We have a need. It's a good location for this type of product, so I hope we can unanimously support this and show our support for your investment in our city. So, thanks.
Thanks, Alder.
I know the floor is closed, but want to just make a statement that the commitment of this body and of staff to our product and our project was complete and 100% versus the weird transaction that happened. Everyone said, could you find another site? Could you make it work somewhere else? And they were all supportive of that, so I do appreciate that because this community, I know, it's just a matter of what's the appropriate place. I think we found it, but we'll see what we think. Thank you.
Yeah, and one more thing, Mayor.
Yep.
You know, one of the things that, in fact, the mayor and I talked about this afterwards, that was kind of a unicorn situation to be able to find another location and have all of the parties agree to it. That is really, really difficult to do. And so kudos to staff as well to help facilitate that. But more importantly, and this is a comment I shared with the mayor, I just don't want the council to assume that that can always be achieved because it can't always be achieved. So we're really fortunate in this instance that, that we were able to get that done.
Yep, absolutely. Any other comments? Alder Burnett.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I agree. Thank you to you personally, Mayor, and your staff for finding another location. It's actually a very good development, and we look forward to seeing it break ground and then open up to residents of the city. I just want to say that in the rendering is in the packet, actually. It's page 9 of the last attachment. So it's actually a very attractive-looking building, and I think it would fit well in that neighborhood.
Thank you, Alder. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, we do have a motion to approve. All in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and that item has been approved. On to report of the Finance Committee. Motion to approve made by Alder Scannell. Seconded by Alder Hutchison. Any items here to be handled separately? Any items?
7?
I think we need that to be handled because it just says hold over.
Right.
So, yes, we'll handle item 7 separately. Hearing none others, all in favor of approving the remainder of that report, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion on item 7. Motion to approve made by Alder Scannell, seconded by Alder Stoyer. Alder Johnson, we'll go to you.
Thank you, Mayor. I saw that Chief Faltz had sent out an email earlier today, and one of the things that when we sent this back to, or that we asked staff to hold over and provide some additional information, which was contained in that email, part of it was related to employee satisfaction, but the other piece was the funding. And I think really that was, and the mayor alluded to it earlier in the announcements, that was really kind of the hang-up, I think, with some of us was wanting to preserve contingency and recognizing that if you can predict it, you should budget for it. But I really appreciate the work that the staff did to come back with a proposal, and so I would offer that up as an amendment to what's here, which is to approve the request using $25,000 of contingency and $25,000 of ARPA interest.
Alder Johnson makes that amendment. It was seconded by Alder Galvin. Director Faltz, or Chief Faltz?
And just to make sure we have contingent upon legal review as well.
Okay.
Yeah, and contingent upon legal review. That's in my motion. You didn't hear that?
I heard that. Very good. So that was an amendment offered by Johnson and seconded by, was that Galvin or Hutchison? Galvin. Discussion on the amendment? Alder Stoyer?
I concur with Alder Johnson on that. I think splitting it is a good way to go. And I guess the one question I had is, well, I have several really, but with this moving forward, what kind of input I don't know if I can even speak about it now, but what kind of input do the employees have, the administration, the alders, that type of thing? Because I think 6 years ago when we did this study, I don't remember being involved that much in it. So I just would like to know the parameters of what is expected of us moving
Sure.
forward.
Yeah, Chief Faltz.
Yeah, thanks, Alder Sawyer. This will actually be my first time going through it too, in this role. So this market measurement is going to be a little different from the last one. So the last one was like full-blown salary study, review of people's job descriptions and job classifications, because the last one done prior to 2016, 2017 was done in the 1980s. So I think with 2016, 2017, they looked at more of grouping positions and making sure we have the right job descriptions for positions, and really revamping the whole city pay plan and creating one. So this one going forward is gonna be more of a market measurement, where the consultant won't be looking at more of our positions and reclassifying them or updating the job responsibilities, but we'll be looking at more of the wages and salaries and how competitive they are compared to other public municipalities and to other private companies. So the involvement I anticipate will be, the consultant will gather a lot of information. They'll meet with department heads, supervisors, Human Resources Department, and at some point, they'll provide a recommendation to the Human Resources Department. And then from there, I think we'll have options to propose what we think would be the best going forward, probably around the budget time for the 2024 budget. And we can include those proposals, that information with the Common Council on what we think would be best and kind of what several options would be.
Well, I think we'll all be involved in some way, but I think this is a very important issue. You know, we have a lot of issues in the city that we're dealing with, but bringing employees in and retaining employees and being competitive is very, very important. And I think we need to really look at that closely. Thank you.
All said. Any other comments? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The amendment is adopted. Alder Johnson makes a motion to approve as amended. That was seconded by Alder Campbell. Any other comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and that item has been approved as amended. Park Committee. Motion to approve made by Alder Johnson, seconded by Alder Scannell. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. That report has been approved. Report of the Personnel Committee. Motion to approve made by Alder Scannell, seconded by Alder Johnson. Any items here to be handled separately? Would you like, well, Alder Story, just to clarify, I guess, are you planning to make a motion or to?
Well,
Otherwise, you could just make a comment now.
all right.
Just one sec, sorry.
Of course, you know, we talked about these positions, as we do in a lot of times with personnel. There's a lot of different things. And with this potential study coming up, you know, I've heard from some folks that, you know, there's people, certain people getting raises, other people not, and it's inconsistent. So, you know, just for morale purposes, I guess I'm looking at this more or less in that vein. So I don't know how long we should wait on something like that, or is this, I'd like to hear from other alders on that if you feel this is pressing enough to move forward.
Alder Johnson?
Yeah, Alder Stoyer, just because we talked about this at Personnel Committee, this isn't about giving people raises. There have been foundational changes in the scope of responsibility for these roles, and that's why they're being reclassified. They're doing different work. Yeah, so just to clarify that point on this one, but I agree on the study, that's why we've got to do it. But this is a slightly different because it's a change of responsibility.
I'm good with that, thank you.
Thanks, Alder. Any other comments? Seeing none, and seeing we're not handling anything separately, we have a motion and a second. All in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The report has been approved. On to the report of the Traffic, Bicycle, and Pedestrian Commission. Motion to approve made by Alder Scannell, seconded by Alder Stevens. Items here to be handled separately? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. That report has been approved. Equal Rights Commission. Motion to approve made by Alder Scannell. Is there a second? Seconded by Alder Galvin. Discussion here. Alder Brunette.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Chief Faulds, this is one committee that I was not able to watch the meeting, but I couldn't find anything in the agenda that would kind of point out to what a visibility initiative is. Could you explain that for the council, please?
Chief Faulds?
Sure. What was talked about during the meeting was really for the commissioners to be involved in more community events with community partners and groups, also trying to just be more visible. So attending events as Equal Rights Commission commissioners, meeting with more community partners and community groups in the area, and just getting their feedback and thoughts on any issues that might pertain to what's outlined in the ordinance, in the equal rights ordinance.
Okay, one thing I just encourage you to do as a liaison between the council, the mayor, and this commission is that bring the council members in. If there's these sorts of events and things in our districts, we would love to attend. I don't speak for everyone, but I know I would love to attend. I represent the Oneida Reservation, so if there's events out there, I'd love to be there to get the same input that the commission is receiving. Thank you.
Thanks, Alder. Any other comments? Sounds good. Stay tuned. All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the report has been approved. On to resolutions.
Motion to suspend the rules.
On this, just real quick, Alder Johnson had a question before the meeting about,
Yeah, and
you got it?
Item 6, and I did talk to Director Steckschulte. And of course, I'll have to abstain on this item, but the on-Broadway operating plan has already been approved. I think this is just an error, and this should be the annual report to coincide with what the Planning Commission did.
Okay. Anything that we should do there, Director?
I think I would just, to could alter the motion to just be approval of the annual report would be, rather than the operating plan, would be appropriate.
Just,
Motion to suspend the rules for all but item 6.
so is the item that's actually attached
I'd have to go out and see it.
not the operating plan? Okay.
Yeah, I believe it should actually read, the resolution itself should actually read the annual report, not the operating
Okay.
plan.
So should we just receive and place this on file and do the report next time, or what's
Well,
the?
even the report, it's just a resolution language. There's really nothing else attached to it.
Okay,
It's resolution language to adopt the operating plan, which again has already been done.
right.
A meeting from October 24th.
Yeah, I think staff must have just grabbed the wrong boilerplate here.
Okay. Can you offer an amendment to that, or?
Well, I should really abstain from it, but
Right.
honestly, you could just completely pull it. I don't even know why we need to have it on the agenda.
Should we just receive and place it on file?
Yeah.
Let's just do that.
Let's first do resolutions all in
Motion
separate.
to suspend the rules for all but resolution 6.
Alder Scannell makes a motion to suspend the rules and take up all the resolutions with one roll call vote, with the exception of item 6.
Second.
Seconded by Alder Brunette. All in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, the rules are suspended.
Motion to adopt.
Alder Scannell makes a motion to adopt these resolutions, was seconded by Alder Stevens, and we will use the board.
You may vote. You can display. Go ahead.
And those are approved unanimously. Item 6,
Motion to receive and place on file.
Alder Scannell makes a motion to receive and place on file, item 6, and that was seconded by Alder Stevens. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and that item is received and placed on file. On to-
Just to clarify, that was logged as an abstention on that item?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, Alder. Now on to ordinances, first reading. Alder
Suspend the rules.
Alder Stevens.
Item number 6.
Okay. Alder Stevens makes a motion to suspend the rules and take up these items with one roll call vote, with the exception of item 6. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alder Galvin. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, the rules are suspended.
To advance.
Second.
Alder Scannell makes a motion to advance those items, seconded by Alder Galvin. All in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and those ordinances are advanced to a second and final reading. On item 6, Alder Stevens.
I'd like to make a motion to make this first and final reading.
Alder Stevens makes a motion to suspend the rules and adopt the resolution, or the ordinance rather, with a first and final reading. That was seconded by Alder Johnson. Any discussion on that? No? All right. All in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The rules are suspended.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve made by Alder Stevens, seconded by Alder Scannell. Any discussion? Yes, that was a motion to adopt, I'm sorry. We'll use the board on that.
You may vote. Alder Eck, how would you like to be reported? So weird, wait, hold on.
Oops, there it is.
Yeah.
All right, that is adopted unanimously. On to petitions and communications. Adjournment. Motion to adjourn by Alder Johnson, seconded by Alder Scannell. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Thanks, everyone.